No, Pika. We didn't get anything new at the local comic book shop this week. I mean, what's going on here? Let's get to the bottom of this together. Welcome back once again. It is time for the Comics Coffee Table. That's right. Pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, whatever it is you're shoving under your nose today there, pal. Tough guy, sizzle chest, chowder head. That's a darn good cup of coffee. Pre-recorded, but live before a studio audience of my stuffed animals. It's the Comics Coffee Table. We take a break from our day. We leave the real world problems over there. We pull up a chair to our very own Comics Coffee Table. We grab a cuppa and we talk about our hobby, our geeky pastime, comic books. And we're usually a daily show. But you know what? It's summertime. I'm taking it easy. I'm taking a break from the daily content. We went 564 days with daily comic book shop style conversation. I'm blessed and grateful. And for you who keep showing up to the live chat premiere and those who leave comments and continue this comic book shop style conversation. During the week, traditionally, we will be returning to our normal show, our typical, I'm sorry, I don't want to trigger anyone by saying normal. Our typical show, which is reboarding, rebagging, reboxing my entire collection. And it's an excuse to not only get new releases every Wednesday at my local comic book shop, but to buy my supplies there. I'm not getting my supplies through my online supply chain or the big box stores. I'm spending my money where it counts the most at the mom and pop brick and mortar shops, the local comic book shop. They need our business. Yes, I'm agreeing to pay the retail markup. So what? I'm agreeing to that. I want my comic book shop to be as open for generations to come, entertaining the masses with periodical print publications. I'm enthused. As we like to say here, what's in the bag? What's in the bag? It's the ubiquitous comic book flat that we get at our local comic book shop, usually filled with new releases. There's a manga in here. There are funny books. I thought you said at the beginning of the show you didn't get any new releases from the local comic book shop this week. That is true. It's Sunday, and on Sundays, we traditionally review the new releases that we bought and read. I got plenty of new releases to talk about. I've got an in with a buddy who shares with me their digital comics. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 brand new Marvel comics this week, plus 2 Image Indies. I read 15 brand new floppies in the digital format on my desktop, not a tablet. I read them on this very computer right here. Blessed and grateful that one of the friends of the show and that I'm associated with through Wes's Thinking Critical has shared with me a stack of their digital funny books. And I did buy a manga this week. So that counts as a funny book that I bought new this week. So that counts. Sure. Yeah, why not? And also, this is the stack of comics that I bought at Fan Expo last week in the dollar bin. Yes, it was buy 10, get 3 for free. So I got 13 floppies here. I mistakenly got a double of one. We'll get to that. But it's cute because it's got a really nifty variant cover. And it's actually something that the people in the live chat have been suggesting to me for a while. For that Wes's Thinking Criticals panel and the good folks in our live chat and comments have been suggesting a lot. They're like, are you reading this? Well, I picked up a couple of issues to try it out. And it's pretty cool. And but let's get to it. Read the show notes, the copious amounts of show notes that that I'm ignoring. He did his show notes for the entire month. He planned out the entire month with content, and along the way we hit the wall. We're like, oh my gosh, we need a break. It's summertime. Let's enjoy the time I have left to my sabbatical from work. I work at a local university. I'm a union chef, and I'm blessed and grateful to have had the ability to take the summer off. And I'll be returning in a few weeks. So we will be returning to our regularly scheduled program very shortly. But until then, it's August. It's August on YouTube as well. I mean, August on YouTube's weird. I noticed, and I talked to other creators, and they're like, no, August is pretty much the slowest month of the year for YouTube creators. So don't get disheartened when you notice that your numbers seem to have fallen off. And so this being my 4th year of YouTube creation, I'm fully cognizant that, it's a good time to take a break. And I'm very proud of our streak, 564 consecutive episodes. I couldn't have done it without you. You, the most important ingredient in our recipe of our very own comics coffee table. Why a coffee table? That coffee table book started it off last year. It was a page-a-day book. We could open up to today's date, look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We would read the blurb, and then we would talk about comic books. And it gave us the framework that we could talk about comic books every day, all year long. And it snowballed downhill into what we have here today. The coffee table was always where my friends and I would hang out, would kick back, relax. There would always be a stack of books on the coffee table. There would always be a stack of music on the coffee table. There would always be a stack of movies on the coffee table. There would always be a stack of video games on the coffee table. And there would always be, you guessed it, a stack of funny books. We were trying to turn each other on to get each other to read, talk about, rave about, kibosh, and just be like, oh, that one was trash. We could wrap a fish with this one. And we try to remain positive and cheerful on this show. It's hard sometimes because there's just, I'm going to get to more about my dissatisfaction with modern comics. But before that, let's see what's in the bag. So part 1 of our new releases, the only new comic that I bought this week, I believe that manga are comic. Are they comic books? Yeah, I'm not going to split hairs on that one. I'm just going to enjoy it. I got Dragon Ball Super Volume 18 because I have them all. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a big fan of that guy right there, Vegeta, who now has his ultra ego transformation, and that's to balance Goku's Ultra Instinct transformation. And so obviously where this is heading, to fusion, hoi, and some maybe ultra id or super ego, when Vegito, that's where this is going. I can see it coming a mile away. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I could be wrong right now. But yeah, this is the only new release that I bought this week. It's mostly filler. It's boring fight. It's between Gas, the enemy, and Granola, the secondary hero, and the protagonist of this arc. And Goku and Vegeta are just basically watching from the wings, and it's going somewhere. Yeah, I've pre-ordered the next one. I get them all the spines, make a triptych, You know what I mean? That little image there. Well, you put all the spines together, it creates one it's pretty cool. The art, it's nice manga art. I mean, geez, I love this stuff. I can just try. I can see that. I wonder if like the onomatopoeia, because it's a translation. I'm wondering if that's cut and paste too. At this point, it's one of my biggest problems with modern comics and lettering, are this drag and drop, cut and paste onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a word that's spelled the way it sounds, like thwip or snip, or whiff, something like that. Or it's the sound effects in a comic book, and I'm just but still, manga, speed lines, action, dynamic fight sequences. I'm not knocking that. I'm just thinking like, this thing's just mostly filler, kind of boring, but it's part of the collection, and I got every single one of them, and it's not like these things increase in value or anything. I'm in it just for the story. I'm Team Vegeta, so I love his part of the story, and that's all there is to it. And that is the one new comic that I bought this week. What did I get at Fan Expo last week? I went through all these dollar bins. I should have paid greater heed to my list and tried to find some more back issues. I didn't. I went Friday and Saturday. I skipped Sunday. I avoided Con Crud. That's a win. I got an autograph picture with William Shatner. I got an autograph from Peter Weller. He autographed my Buckaroo Banzai Blu-ray, and I got a photograph with William Shatner. So I spent enough money. I spent enough time. I got to see the Memes of Destruction. I got to see Comics and Snacks and Friends, and it was nice. You know what I mean? We had a mini meetup of 3 of us. That's fine. It's better than 0. And it's so nice to see these guys. I like these guys a lot. And it's nice to have a sense of community. It's nice to have a sense of fellowship. And it's good to share some time with these guys. I know Memes is moving away soon to Utah to be part of the physics monastery for at least a year. God bless you. Good luck. Namaste. I'll miss you, my friend. I really will. But we'll keep in touch over these YouTube wireless wires, huh? And we're gonna, he wants to make some content about philosophy, and I'm there for that, and I'm there for you, Memes. So hit me up any time. I love diving through those dollar bins, and you never know what you're gonna find. And old friends, things that you passed on in the past. Let's get to it. I got 13 floppies. And, let's just start with this. Wanted issue number 2. Now, I got the reprint of Wanted, the 20th anniversary edition, issue 1 reprint of Wanted 2 weeks ago with the release of Big Game, the Mark Millar crossover summer event, which is a direct sequel to Wanted. So not only is it a 20th anniversary of that issue, it's also a great excuse to, hey, let's remind you of where this story at Big Game came from. 1 second. I'm going to cough. But yeah, great art by J.G. Jones. It's hyper-violent. And it's about a world where the bad guys won. And so Big Game is about a second generation of superheroes, and the bad guys that won the world have to do something about this new generation of superheroes. Yeah, and so it's pretty good Mark Millar stuff, but I'm glad to get this to go along with the issue 1 that I bought last week. And so it's Wanted, issue number 2. Now, I just got some great news from this creator, of whom I was blessed to have a little time with on West is Thinking Critical a little while back. His name's Michael Barron. He is a legendary Copper Age scribe. He did The Flash, Volume 2, Issue 1 through 14, bringing Wally West into his new role as the Flash, graduating from being Kid Flash. This was in 1987. And I wrote a lot of Marvel comics, a lot of DC comics. And in 1987, I was in middle school. I was 14, going on 15. And actually, I was going into my freshman year in high school. Come to think of it, yeah. I mean, 87, 88. I graduated. I'm class of 1991. So. When I was on with Michael Barron, he's an older gentleman now, but he's still producing comic books. Now, if you like him or hate him, that's none of my business. His politics are none of my business. Who he's aligned with the good guys, bad guys in white hats, or stinky Yahtzee bigots that you need to leverage everything. None of my business. I'm a comic book fan, and I'm a big fan of Mike Barron's work. And so when I was a freshman, I was a freshman in high school, getting comic books off the shelf at Quincy Center's New England Comics when it was in the Rotary, way back in the day. I picked up on this. It was $1.75 cover price. What would $1.75 cover price be today? Let's go to this grand old CPI inflation calculator from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is cover dated December of 1987. I was, a freshman in high school. We were only freshmen. So December 1987, $1.75 today would have the same buying power as $4.64. So that's basically how much a comic book goes for. A floppy, a periodical, goes for these days. Median price has been $3.99 since 2012, and that price is going up to $4.99 pretty soon. And it's actually funny too, because after further investigation last week, the Scooby-Doo Batman mysteries being published by DC Comics, they're selling that for $2.99. So DC Comics could be selling you their funny books, their periodicals, their floppies at $2.99, but they don't. Yeah, huh? This is from 1987, 1988. I got, this is much ballyhooed. This is Sonic Disruptors. I got 4 issues out of the 8 that were released. And then, they kind of, it fizzled out. It never completed. Maybe it's 10 issues that they got. Let's look that up real quick. Sonic Disruptors. Pika, you're supposed to do this before the show. Sonic Disruptors comic. There you go. Da-da-da-dun. The last issue, the sales were poor. Although it was advertised as being a 12-issue story, sales were poor, and the last issue published was number 7. So there were 7 of a planned 12, so it's missing 5 issues at the end. I've got issues 1, 2, 4, and 5, so I'm gonna go look for those other 3 issues. But I was informed today, and I asked Mike Barron on this panel when he was leaving. I was like, "Hey, Mike, in this climate of you've been doing crowdfunding comics, and Sonic Disruptors is pure satire. It really is. It's set in the future of 2030, where America is under a fascist dictatorship, and that rock and roll music has been banned, and so there is a pirate satellite up in orbit beaming down rock and roll music to people with illegal radios under punishment by death. And I think, wow, in today's politically charged climate, Mr. Barron, you think that going back to Sonic Disruptors would be a good idea? I mean, to redo it. And because I think that the world needs that kind of story, that we're ready for Sonic Disruptors. You can not only complete it, you can totally reboot it. And he actually said to me, yeah, I got that coming. I'm like, yes! So today he shared with me a couple of the covers. It's called 2084. Sonic Disruptors 2084. I don't know if it's a complete reboot or if it's a sequel, but I hope it's a reboot so we can just start off from scratch and finish the story, but keep the spirit of it. I'm reading this, and it's pure satire. It's delicious satire. It's really, Mike Barron's, he gets bashed for being a conservative and having conservative views. But, his heroes in here are progressive liberals. We would call them lefties, far lefties. And the enemies are far righties. And this is seriously delicious satire. It's completely inappropriate, but it's meant for mature readers. And this was in the prestige format of its time. And it's really fun. And I'm so glad that I'm able to share with you some breaking news in comic books. Mike Barron is returning to Sonic Disruptors after like 35 years. He's going to complete this tale, and he's going to revamp it for modern audiences. Ain't that cool? So, but yeah, this is, just the art in this is just so 80s. And this is, let's look at a comic book. This is what we do. Look at the back. Hellblazer #1 was about to come out. I've read Hellblazers 1 through 200 twice over. And it's, here we go. Just 2030. That's the Sheik. He's like one of the DJs on this space station called Lil Bopper, because the Big Bopper, you know what I mean? That's a rock and roll reference. Hey, the Big Bopper talking. And it is just so on the nose, great satire. I like the art. I like the coloring in this. See, the pages were there wasn't on newsprint. This is like in a different format. So this was meant for, it was meant for the mature readers, with the growing audience and the aging audience, giving, and this is pre-Vertigo too. Vertigo won't come into being until 1993. And that's also when Image started, and that's the end of the Copper Age, according to the Overstreet comic book price guide and the glossary in the back. The Copper Age runs from 1984 until 1993, and that we're in some catch-all nebulous modern age from 1993 until now. I dispute that, but if the Shadow that I have the entire run of, just more house ads. They don't have another house ad. Yeah, they don't. I don't believe they have any conventional advertisements in this. It's just all house ads. Maybe it was a tough sell. You couldn't get an ad. You couldn't get Twinkies to be behind this. But that's a little look into Sonic Disruptors #1. I'll be backing Mike Barron's next run at this with his 2084. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to getting the other 3 issues of this as well. That will be cool. I got these in the dollar bin. See, so you can get great comics in the dollar bin too. These are in really decent condition, and they came with bags and boards. A lot of the times, they're just loose, and they just have, corners, They got dings, dings. We got corners. It's fine. What else did I get? I saw this from 1981, the 50-cent days of DC Comics, back when there was a proper Superboy in the Legion of Superheroes. And this is coming from the mid-70s, when we aged up Superboy a bit to be a teenager, hanging out with other teenagers in the 30th century. And this is just a nice little jump. We would consider something like this in issue 0 for today. Secrets of the Legion of Superheroes. Dun, dun, dun. Great issue. Let's look at some ads. Let's look at the indicia. Hey, look, we're selling cowboy boots to kids. Woohoo! Yeah, here we go. January 1981. So this had to come out about, say, November of 1980. when I just turned 8 years old. Check out this ad right here for Saturday morning cartoons. The NBC Saturday morning lineup. Did I watch any of these? I must have. I watched all of them. Actually, it had a hard time for me competing with ABC, home of the Super Friends. This is great. Ancient internet mail order catalogs, like funs and gimmicks. You know, practical jokes. I had Jack's Joke Shop that was in Boston, downtown Boston. A legendary Hostess fruit pie ads. Look, it's Aquaman and Mera, an Aqualad, and a simpler day in the Bronze Age. Ain't that cool? Way before he was Tempest, and you know, and we're not going to mention Aqua Baby here. Shh. Here we this is all just info dump, reminding you of like the origins of the Legion. Long live the Legion. Long live the Legion of superheroes. I have my flight ring. My Legion flight ring gives me the ability to fly and gives me a molecule-thick atmosphere so I don't suffocate in space or die of exposure or have my blood boil off or my eyes freeze out. And it was created by Mon-El, the Daxamite, not by Brainiac 5. You got Pez candy dispensers. Grit. Getting a subscription to Grit. I know, huh? And here we go. These old comic book ads. Learn Kung Fu! Exactly. Like when we talk about Count Dante and the Count Dante magazine, that's a... Oh, boy. Wildfire. One of my favorite Legionnaires, man. Awesome. Awesome. And then Monogram model cars. I loved model cars. That's great. I got 2 of these, and I had to go find issue 3. I did. I don't want to admit to having used Amazon, but whatever. Sometime, don't judge. I got Sea Guy by Grant Morrison and you know who I can't say. This is I got Sea Guy Eternal in my long boxes. Grant Morrison. This is like some really weird. This is going to come in handy very soon, sooner than later. My friends Jim Werner of Weird Science Comics and Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House, they jammed to do a Grant Morrison retrospective on their channels. They're doing Animal Man, they're doing Doom Patrol and the Invisibles. And eventually they're going to get to Sea Guy. And Jim mentioned including me on that. And I haven't had a copy of Sea Guy in a while. So I got Sea Guy Eternal, which is the second act of a 3-act play that we're never going to see the completion of. Why? Because Cameron Stewart is the co-creator. And they can't do anything with that guy because he's anathema to the comic books industry, and for a well-deserved reason. Creepy behavior with young women, brooming, and using his privilege as a creator. It's its own story. I don't want to get into it or bring the channel down with that, but he was a very good artist, and so Sea Guy is about this. It's about Sea Guy and his buddy Chubby the Tuna, and he's kind of like a retired superhero, and he gets keep getting pulled back into the gig, and they were supposed to have been, a third act to this, but with the notoriety, the litigation, and the subsequent ostracization of Mr. Cameron from the industry, I have no hope in seeing the completion of this wonderful, odd, offbeat story, and it opens up with a chess game against death, just like in The Seventh Seal. This is an Ingmar Bergman movie that's legendary, starring Max von Sydow. It's The Seventh Seal, and but it explores the superhero genre, its tropes, and its expectations. And one of my favorite all-time single panels, Chubby the Tuna and his accent. He's kind of like maybe some kind of weird mashup of Ben Grimm, the blue-eyed, ever-loving thing, and his New York accent from Yancey Street, man, New York City, the fug. I love that. We got some love for Aragorn here. Return to the King. We have a Wonder Woman pastiche, and it's just and C Guy is so oblivious to everything. City of Heroes, this huge video game, and it was a multiplayer online role-playing game, one of the first big ones, where it gave you the ability to create your own superhero and have superhero adventures on the intranet. Way back. Where's the indicia? To the indicia, please. Where's the indicia? We will find the indicia. But yeah, look, hey. More Hellblazer. We just saw the Hellblazer 1 ad. This is Hellblazer going into one of my favorite runs. This would be the Brian Azzarello run. Brian Azzarello, I believe, was the first American to write John Constantine. But yeah, this just rips up and plays with the superhero, ideas and its tropes and the genres and the archetypes. And it's Mickey I, yeah, who sees everything. And just it's simultaneously deep and shallow. Oh, look. More video game ads. More house ads. We got Smallville. And by the end of this, see guys back into action. Dun dun dun. Ah, here, the indicia. We have found it. From July of 2004. This is kind of like when I just got back into comics. This is Vertigo. And Vertigo had a second heyday in the early aughts. It really did. Karen Berger was an amazing editor. There we go. Those are your Vertigo titles available that month. Orbiter. Transmit. Lucifer, which was made into a TV show. Why the Last Man? Fables. Does any of those sound familiar, huh? But yeah, so I got 2 issues of that. I've ordered issue 3, and I think this also plays well with something I got on my bookshelf. Don't look at my butt. Pika, stop looking at my, you little bastard. Plays very well with Marvel Boy by Grant Morrison, which he did over at Marvel around the same time. A little bit before. The indicia for this is 2001. And is this Marvel Max? No, this is Marvel Knights, which was an imprint at Marvel at the time. It was doing wonderful things. But yeah, J.G. Jones, the artist of Wanted. Also, Grant Morrison would bring J.G. Jones back for their Final Crisis at DC, but J.G. Jones is a great artist, but he wasn't able to keep up with the demand of publication. So they gave like Carlos Pacheco and Doug Mankey issues 6 and 7 on Final Crisis. If you remember, we covered Final Crisis in depth a few months back. But This shares a lot with Sea Guy when it comes to the superhero tropes, when it comes to, dare I say, Morrisonian, archetypes, and and how he handles stories. I see so many similarities between Marvel Boy and Sea Guy. This is really good. I mean, this is a solid rec for me. It's hardcover, and I keep it on my actual bookshelf next to the other Grant Morrison. Which is next to my dictionary and Bible, the entire Invisibles, which is amazing. So I'm ready for conversations about Grant Morrison. I'm a huge Grant Morrison fan. And that's, I'm sticking to that. What is this? Oh, wow. I forgot this thing fell into a glue trap. And some show notes are stuck to it. I'm like, I was going to do a show about Solo, a Star Wars story. Solo lost money. Reylos are weird. I didn't do it because I just said, why bother? I couldn't muster up the nerve to do a thing about Solo. I didn't care. Awesome. And thank you so much again for showing up. I'm sorry about just the intermittency of the show. I'm happy right now to do a weekly and keep with the theme of doing new releases. And a little bit longer. So yeah, making it a special episode. A very special episode. Oh look. Showing how chubby you got. Chubby the tuna in real life. People in the chat will know that you've been talking about Robert Venditti's Hawkman. And saying, hey, pick those. I'm not into getting trade paperbacks anymore, really. I like floppies. So, I got 4 floppies, 3 issues, 4 floppies. I mistakenly got number 5 twice. So, this is the foil variant. And you can see that in the back, too, in that ad. Hey, look, a regular ad. Well, it's a house ad, too, because it's about Lego DC supervillains. And this is a variant cover that we're used to. These are 2018 books. Where's the indicia? Check it out. December of 2018. But this is a really nice. I like this foil variant cover. And this is the normal variant. I got these both in the dollar bin, by the way. So if you're out there paying $1 extra for a variant cover, you know what I mean? Like, mind your corners and stuff, because they too could end up with dings in the dollar bin. And this was pencils by Brian Hitch, traditionally inked too. I mean, by Hinch himself and Andrew Curie, and this is pretty fun. Because look, we got a snack food ad, and this is reminiscent too of those Hostess ads, because we're using the characters to, sell some snack food. I mean, we got Jessica Cruz, we've got someone cosplaying as Lara Flees, the Orange Lantern, and we got Flash showing up. We got Wally no, that's Barry Allen showing up, and that's pretty cool. Look at this splash page. Nice organic lines, real pencils, real inks from 2018. I mean, so 2018, this was not that long ago. We have conventional snack food ads. What do we got here too? Let's see. Warner Brothers. So that's in-house. Let's see. Anything else in here? But yeah, I found that, these were, hey look, prime real estate in the center of the magazine. Brian Michael Bendis has come to DC and destroyed, look, Shazam. Oh, I hate that costume. I like what Mark Waid's doing on his Shazam, but we all have to wait 2 months until Night Terrors is over. More house ads, but like I said, this is a 2018 comic book, so it's not that far ago, not that long ago. Liam Sharp, Green Lantern. I skipped that, but this is Grant Morrison. And that's something I could come back to, you know. But yeah, they're all house ads. But at least we have one snack food ad. And I got 2 more issues. I got issues 14 and 15 from the Year of the Villain. You know. Yep. Just all house ads. No snack food here. Alrighty. And the last one I got, all right, I found this in the dollar bin. This is great because I was a big fan of this. I got Impulse issue 41. And this, look, Pop-Tarts. This, look, a video game for all you wrestling fans out there. This, I'm happy to have got this. I'm a big fan of him. If you don't like him, that's fine. If you don't like, you know, if you don't like his politics, well, then don't buy his books. Problem solved. This is Ethan Van Sciver's first full DC comic book. I let him know, like, hey, look what I found at the Fan Expo. And he was like, LOL, that's my first full DC book. And look at his comic style. So, I mean, Mike Waringo was doing this. Humberto Ramos was doing this. And so EVS is like basically, you know, adopting that house style for Impulse. Look, mac and cheese. They're DC superhero tie-ins, but still, food, snack foods, kids' foods. Who are look, candy. Who are comic books aimed at? The secret is in the advertisements. I like this conceit that was always in Impulse. His inner thoughts would sometimes be a rebus puzzle, or these like little icons. It's it's funny because Bart Allen is from the 31st century. He's Barry Allen and Iris West's grandson. You know, he's a contemporary of the Legion of Superheroes in that future. His cousin, Jenny Ognutz, is XS, the speedster of the Legion of Superheroes. And so it kind of brings back, it kind of foretells the use of emoticons, in my humble opinion. Really. I mean, I think that's like one of the prescient things of science fiction sometimes. But look at that delicious, you know, I love hand-drawn onomatopoeia. I don't know, this is a really cool comic book for me to have. I'm a huge fan of Ethan Van Sciver. Hey, look, video game ads. If you don't like them, just don't buy them, and you don't have to judge me for liking them either. Seriously, look, VHS, Dragon Ball Z, it's Vegeta. Ah, man, but still, I mean, Ethan's come a long way with his art style. Really has. Hey, look, cereal and Six Flags. I love that panel of Bart right there. Come out and fight like a man. Love that look on his face. But this is just a fun comic, and it's a great piece of history because, you know, I'm a big fan of him. And yeah, that is my stack of funny books that I got at Fan Expo last week. Let's get into real quick. I don't want the show to go on too long, but I got 13 Marvel comics this week that are brand new. That I read all of them. I did, and I have the same problem that I have with with these modern comics. It goes right from the digital line art to a digital colorist, and then you have these. I call it drag and drop, cut and paste, onomatopoeia, the sound effects of a comic book. And they have no charm, and they're repetitive because they're obviously sometimes the same, exact same, and they're just blown up for size and effect. The only real good artwork in any of these comic books comes from the much ballyhooed Amazing Spider-Man number 31, which has a $9.99 cover price. Its legacy number is $925. So this is some kind of, you know, I get 50s and 100s are great milestones. 25s, you're really pushing it. But hey, it is what it is. So it's I think an 88-page comic book. So there's the first half of the comic book is the actual issue 31 itself. half of that art duty is done by John Romita Jr., who does pencils, real pencils, which is inked by Scott Hanna, the legendary Scott Hanna. And then, so it has organic line. It has great feel. It's got hatchings and cross hatchings. And just it looks like a proper comic book should. And then you have other artists too who are, yes, they're all, from South America. And it looks AI art, with the coloring and the shadowing and this overuse of the Bende.Zipatone filters. I mean, to give it that nostalgic look. The second half of that book is previews for other magazines. A new Spider-Woman #1 coming up. Dan Slott. His Superior Spider-Man Volume 2 that's coming out. There's a Craven the Hunter story that's coming up in Spider-Man 32, Amazing Spider-Man 32. There is a preview of Carrie Andrews' Spider-Man Reign 2. The art in that is impressive. I gotta tell you that. That's some good stuff. Spider-Man Reign is a very notorious Spider-Man comic book, and he's getting a sequel. That's pretty interesting. And there were a couple of just, interesting, fun comics, such as Perry, the professional victim that needs to be rescued. And so it's a good interaction between Peter and Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four. They've got a wonderful friendship, and I genuinely love those moments between Johnny and Peter. But and that's just the $9.99 for the normal comic. This comic book had 14 variant covers. 14. They're saying that Marvel Comics has this variant cover scheme that DC has picked up on. And so you're getting variant covers for common issues. And, are they worth it? Will the market prove that? I mean, you have only so many people buying comic books. And you have completists who will buy every single variant cover. So I guess the allegation is that, to break even and to make it look like you're selling copies is to fleece the aging fan who will pay for that. So I know. We've got Avengers issue 23. Is it Avengers 23? No, it's Avengers issue #4 by Jed MacKay. It was interesting, a decent story. Jed MacKay is a pretty decent writer in my humble opinion. I love Tony Stark's black and gray armor here. And I like Thor. It's got Wanda. It's got, Falcon Cap arguing with T'Challa, which is cute. But I'm glad I didn't spend any money on these. Seriously, because it reeks of digital art with digital coloring and digital... I mean, these are corner-cutting things. It's making things convenient for the publishers. But it just doesn't look like good funny books. We get Captain Marvel Dark Tempest issue 2 from Annie Nocenti. I didn't buy it. I bought issue 1 and I'm not getting the rest yet. It was good to read this. Let's see. We've got Children of the Vault #1, which is part of the Fall of the X-Men mini event going on in the many X-Men titles. It's okay. Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it's issue 5 of the new volume. I've never been a fan of that, but it seems that they've got the team in this book as close to the movie as possible. Go for it. There is this one. Gee, this is horrible. It's Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance Alpha issue 1. So it's going to be this mini crossover between Ghost Rider and Wolverine. Okay, it suffers from... I'm just going to say that all of these comics suffer from digitalitis, from digital inking, digital line work, digital coloring, and I don't I'm not knocking the letterer. I'm not. This is digital lettering has been going on for 2 decades now. I'm not impressed with it, and there's no handiwork to it. There's no craftsmanship to it. This is comic books now. you know, it's no longer this. It's just, I mean, it's glorified coding, in my humble opinion. I don't want to, you know, I'm not putting down the creators. I think it's got more to do with the publisher, because if the publisher wanted decent art or traditional art, they would get it and they would demand it. But no, these are cost-cutting measures and making it easier, more convenient for them to publish them. I get it. I'm just not buying them anymore. My one major problem with this, though, you know, it has on the cover parental advisory. Okay, it doesn't have a teen plus. It doesn't have a 17 plus. It just says parental advisory. One of the characters, the eventual antagonist, I guess, is a small child who has got demonic powers, who is in an orphanage. And one of the scenes here is like a Hellraiser-esque. Hellraiser is a brand of horror movies. So where you see a bloody fusion of several children and the teacher into a horrific horror, gore, grotesque thing. It's only like one panel or so, but you just showed horrific things happening to children. And remember that Disney is a family entertainment company. And I think I draw the line at bad things happening to kids. And Jordan White is the senior X-Men editor. Here's the editor. The editors are Drew Baumgartner, Noah Sharma, Kat Gregowitz, Mark Basso, Darren Shan, Jordan White, and C.B. Saluski. Out of these 7 adults, they greenlit this. And they're showing graphic, horrific, not the process in which it happened, but the result. This, like, the heroes find, you know, that there's blood dripping from the ceiling. They go upstairs, and then there's this, this fusion of blood, bone, and people, and that were once children. And I think that's just really horrible. I'm sorry. I don't think that's cool, Marvel. I don't think that's cool. But hey, it says parental advisory on it. So we warned you on the cover. It's horror. I mean, I don't know. That's off-brand for Marvel. It's off-brand for Disney. I don't like it. We got Immortal X-Men number 14. Whatever. It's Charles Xavier dealing with the aftermath of the latest Hellfire Gala. Let's see. Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Oh, what an eyesore. I mean, just all this... And it's this digital coloring. You get this, you know, nigh infinite color palette, and we always revert back to this blue, this purple, pink, blue. We derisively call it bisexual lighting. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in advertisement too. And I'm supposed to not see the gender studies people behind this. Sorry, I do. There's Red Goblin number 7. There's Silk number 4. So, and there's also the Spider-Man 2003 annual number 1. And it's got 2 pee and poo jokes. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 Spider-Man titles just this month. Then there's Star Wars number 37, which is part of the Dark Droids tie-in. And then there's the one-shot here, Star Wars Return of the Jedi Max Rebo special. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I'm just like, this, once again, just like digitalitis, suffers from everything. You know, I'm clearly on record for saying it makes, you know, why bother printing this up? Why? I mean, waste the paper, waste the staples, waste the delivery guy's time, waste the fuel and for transit, your carbon footprint. We're so worried about the environment. Why even print these up? For the illusion of having a market share in the comic books game. Gosh. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I read 13 Marvel books, and I mean, oh gosh, the Spider-Man annual is kind of bad, in my humble opinion. Like, just Red Goblin. Ugh. I mean, oh man, I don't want to say anything bad about Silk because I'll be like labeled as being anti something or someone. I mean, no, I'm not. I'm anti bad story and anti bad art. You can't say anything without being labeled as some kind of istphobe or Yahtzee. I'm not going to agree to that, or to anyone that's trying to label me as that. I also read The Enfield Gang Massacre #1 by Image Comics, which was pretty interesting. Art story by Chris Condon, artwork by Jacob Phillips. It suffers from, it's digital. It really is, and but it's got a good color palette. And really decent Western story set in 1875 with gunslingers. It's got outlaws. It's got lawmen. And loosely based on real life events too. But I just I'm glad that I read these in a digital format and I didn't pay any money for it. I also read The Cull #1 by Kelly Thompson and art by Matea de Luis, and with letters by art and color and letters by Hassan Ostame Allahu, and designed by Ryan Hughes. It's got wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 variant covers, and it's basically reprinting Ms. Thompson's Substack work on Image Comics. And again, it's just more digitalitis. It's an interesting story. I like the color palette. It's good art for what it is. Yeah, and a couple of the pages are lost on me because it's like these close up of someone's phone, and so you have to like get really into like the what's on someone's phone and just young people, and I don't know. It's not made for me, so I'm not going to knock it. But I'm glad I got 15 funny books from a friend of mine who shared their digital folder of new releases this week. And I'm grateful for that, for the experience to read these new comic books. And so I can have a more balanced opinion. I mean, like the Cull and the Enfield Gang weren't terrible. They're just like, I would say that the Cull is definitely not made for me. It's not something I'd buy. I'm glad I read it and checked it out. I really like the Enfield Gang Massacre. And I'd like to read the next ones too. So hopefully that's in my future too. I mean, I like Westerns. I really do. And 13 Marvel magazines. And oh gosh, just like there were 14 variant covers for that Amazing Spider-Man #1. Wow, they're trying to milk you. They're trying to fleece you. I'm so glad I didn't spend any money on these. And this has been the first week in over a year that I have not gone to my local funny book bodega. I have not gone to the local comic book shop to buy a new comic book because I read, if you tuned in on Wednesday, I usually check out the menu of what's available on New Comic Book Day. Nothing interested me. And I'm seriously not buying anything with all this digital art. I'm so glad I'm skipping this stuff. It's like, it's convenient to the publisher. I'm not going to buy this. I'm going to buy old comic books. So my pick of the week is the first full DC comic made by the notorious and scandalous Ethan Van Sciver. I'm loving this. This is fun. For me as an Ethan Van Sciver fan, this was a good one to get. I like that one a lot. And happy to have found out that Sonic Disruptors is having a second life in crowdfunding, getting an update. And hopefully it keeps its satirical voice. And, that it doesn't get over serious. This was kind of fun. So I'm going to hustle down the remaining 3 issues of this. And I'm totally going to back Mike Barron's crowdfunding there. Thank you so very much for tuning in today for our hour-long new comic book roundup for the week, where we will be returning to our usual broadcast schedule as soon as I get back to work and get back to my usual work schedule of Monday through Friday and my shoot days of Saturday and Sunday. As I like to say, pre-recorded, live before a studio audience of my stuffed animals. Hey, you, have a fun in Houston. This guy, Critical Drinkers at Anime Matsuri. Wow, we've gone on an hour now. This has been the longest episode we've had. Thank you so much if you stuck it out this far. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make comic book style conversation content here. We talk about cooking. I'm a professional chef. We talk about spirituality and gratitude. I'm an ordained minister. Hence the super mantra. Om. Thank you. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again in those funny pages soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.